Welcome to Top Hill Recording Podcast, the podcast where we ask an artist, a band, a musician to come in, give us 4 original tunes. We talk about those tunes. We talk about where they've been, where they're going, all that good stuff. Tonight, dude, could not be more honored and blessed to have in a group that we've really been admiring from afar for a little bit. Return guest, friend of the podcast as well. But tonight we have legends in around this town and amongst many parts. Jeff Guernsey, Steve Cooley, Adam and Aaron Bibelhauser Brothers.
Another city and another town. On true lover wants me to stay. You know it won't be long and I'll be on my way. Through Pennsylvania, down in between Cincinnati, Louisville to New Orleans. But I make my living stoking the flame. With every hour spent shoveling coal. You know I'll miss you, baby, with my heart and soul. Well, I'll return to you someday. You know it won't be long and I'll be on my way. It's a game that I can't play, and I'll be on my way. Through Pennsylvania, down in between Cincinnati, Louisville to New Orleans. Daylight shining through the curtains, creeping in. The rise and the fall of your breath while you're sleeping in. As I gaze upon your face and I wonder, are you dreaming of me in your slumber? Or am I the one that's dreaming of you lying in my bed? Or all these thoughts just make believe residing in my head? Should the morning find me all alone in tears, then I'd close my eyes and I'd sleep 1,000 years. 1,000 years. Big old moon shining all night long, from dusk to dawn. Nothing lasts forever, someday we'll all be gone. What I'd give just for today to never end, or to know that when tomorrow comes we do it all again. Am I the one that's dreaming of you lying in my bed? Or all these thoughts just make believe residing in my head? Should the morning find me all alone in tears, I'd close my eyes and I'd sleep 1,000 years. Sleep 1,000 years. Am I the one that's dreaming of you lying in my bed? Are all these thoughts just make-believe residing in my head? Should the morning find me all alone in tears, then I'd close my eyes. I'd bid this world goodbye, 'cause I'd have no sleep 1,000 years. 1,000 When the final days of winter bring brighter shades of green, gray skies turn into blue and usher in the spring. Well, I make my way back down from here on Rogers Pass. This Rocky Mountain winter, how much longer can it last? From West Montana coking on the Northern Railway line, let the fast mail take my letter to that one true love of mine. Digging coal out of the mountain, down below it's dark and damp. Spent the frozen days of winter living in this mining camp, till it was almost February when the coldest winds did blow. The lowest one recorded down to 70 below. From West Montana coal camp on the Northern Railway line, let the fast mail take my letter to that one true love of mine. Time when the weather's on my side and the winter snow is melted up here on the Great Divide. Instead of just a letter, what I wish that I could do is jump aboard that train myself and come on home to you. From West Montana coal camp on the Northern Railway line, I don't know what's on your mind. It should be plain to see. You shut the door behind you softly, you left me begging please. We talked it over time and time, we never quite agreed. Just to leave it all behind was what we need. As the sun is sinking fast, faded embers turn to ash, and I know she's on her way. Let the chips fall where they may. If you decide to change your mind and make your way back home, baby, don't you be surprised, you won't find me here alone. Following your fickle heart, blowing with the wind. Well, I'll leave it all behind me in the end. As the sun is sinking fast, faded embers turn to ash, and I know she's on her way. Let the chips fall where they may. Sure as the sun is sinking fast, faded turn to ash.
Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Howdy. All right. Thanks for having me.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Here.
Good.
Dude,
Great, man.
that was coming in and being pros, man. You guys sound so big in this room. It was a blast to hear.
I couldn't hear the drums at all.
I never heard the dobro.
The fiddle kind of got drowned in the mix too, but
Never
everything
did like
else.
A fiddle anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody ever said they couldn't hear the banjo, did they?
I was being pretty sensitive and caring, I felt.
It was the most sensitive
As
I've seen you
always.
in years.
I thought you had nylon strings on that thing. You were being
I was
sweet
being
with
careful.
it. Yeah. Well, it sounded perfect.
it's good to be back here.
Man, it's good to have you back. We were kind of talking just a second ago, and I'm sure it'll be in the pod. But yeah, man, one of the first guests, once we started doing the videos, I think the original sign, one mic, one shot, one song. So I think I held that up for you when it was still super crisp and white, unlike it is now with, coffee stains and probably a little bit of bourbon in there.
It's got some mojo though now.
Yeah, man, it feels like a sheet of dryer paper at this point. The dryer lint stuff is so soft. I don't know how it held up, but it's in a frame now. It's going nowhere.
I like it. It made me feel like I really wanted to uphold that. It was right there.
Yeah, man, and you did. You really did want to uphold it. So what we're going to do is all first takes are going out. No, just that's the way we roll, man. But yeah, it's awesome to have you back in, especially to have your brother back in. Adam, I would like to take a second. I do remember last time Aaron was here, he was solo, so he did give you plenty of credit for how beautiful your voice was, but he did also call you on several occasions the evil twin. I don't know if you want to defend yourself or not now that you have a microphone, but are you in fact the evil twin?
I cannot confirm nor deny said statements. Plead the fifth.
All right, all right. That's
I'm grateful to be here. Appreciate it, and I'm right around that time. I just had a daughter, so it was a real good time for him to start doing some solo stuff, and a good time for me to focus on that newborn baby and COVID-19 and all those things. But it's great to be here.
Dude, as a dad, that was a good decision. Dad, husband, all that. Yeah. Stay home. Help raise the kid for a little while. So, but it is good to have you in. Actually, just meeting you tonight for the first time. Jeff, tonight was the first time I met you as well. But Steve, I believe it or not, I doubt he remembers this at all. But every Friday for like 5 years, I was his mailman at Guitar Emporium. Would walk in and be like, "Here's me, here, Mr. Cooley."
That's how come I recognize your face.
That's it, man. I used to be. I've never been more intimidated.
You're not wearing the right shirt tonight.
I shred that cape as soon as I get in my vehicle every day, man. I turn back.
He was probably nice to the mail person.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm generally pretty nice to everybody.
Yeah. Well, there is a big time story why I was so intimidated by Steve Cooley, because growing up, when I was probably 17 years old, I was like kicked in the face with bluegrass music because of Steve Cooley and the Glutes. So I spent the next couple years chasing every gig that I could get to, every gig I could get in.
That was a party.
Man, it was unbelievable.
It was a party,
It was a great time. I'd recently actually just seen a picture with you down there with you guys hooking up and playing a little bit again.
Shannon was talking about maybe doing some sort of event later on this year.
Well, regardless of if that ever happens again, like anytime I go out and play, if I'm playing a show, Spencer and I just doing whatever, I'll throw in a Glute song every single time. If it's Bardstown Road or, Rollin' or Heaven Hills on Fire. I mean, there's so many good ones. Fairy Tale. It's just a legit, man. You're a big part of it, like my coming to age as a musician and transforming what I thought was bluegrass music into what I was watching. And you saying it's a big party, that's it for me in that age group. It was revolutionary. It's like bluegrass music is awesome, and the musicianship is amazing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It doesn't have to be what you think it is all the time. There's lanes to it. There's ways about it. There's it's always fun as hell, regardless of what you're doing. But yeah, man, big influence in my life. So anytime I walked in that Guitar Emporium, I was like, oh God, Steve Cooley, man, this is the baddest man alive.
For us,
join the club.
For us too, because right around the same age time frame for me and Aaron, we sort of discovered Steve with the Hog Operation.
Man, yeah. Unbelievable group.
First bluegrass band I saw live.
No kidding.
It was this man right here.
See, same for me. So
I've ruined so many lives just in this room.
In other words, you're complicit.
The first and last banjo player I've ever heard.
I apologize to your all's families. I'm so sorry.
It's a big reason there's a Bluegrass Anonymous.
Bluegrass Anonymous.
I will say that these two guys are they're like the columns that are holding the roof up.
100.
Not just this band, but our community in a big way, because they're just
make me cry.
Well,
they're like family to us, so we're lucky, but to the community in general. Right. Yeah.
Congratulations on the new discovery, by the way.
We should get this out of the way that we have been saying we're the Bibelhauser Brothers, and these are our two creepy uncles.
But we've changed that up as of recently.
But now, the real story.
After this recent trip to New York, I revealed to the flight attendant on the airplane that these were my two dads, and we came from an unorthodox family.
Yes.
Smiled and.
Not creepy uncles. It's
our dad.
It's Aunt Daddy and Uncle Mommy now.
Aunt Daddy and Uncle
yes,
Mommy.
beautiful.
Pillars holding up the roof.
Thank
Seriously,
God,
though.
Aunt
Seriously.
Daddy and Uncle Mommy are here for the community.
We're on the cutting edge of liberal bluegrass.
Yeah.
We call it woke grass, actually.
Hell
Sometimes.
yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
You damn right.
Spencer,
it is.
didn't I play something with you down at
Put that in your
the
book.
high school or
Yeah.
something? Me and Nathan and Michael and Bill Wolf.
Oh man, I miss Bill. But yeah, it was the very first show I ever played, actually, and I believe you two were a part of it as well, right?
Was it at the Brown School?
No,
I did it a few times. I think it was at Central.
Yeah, we were down at Central.
Yeah, down at
something.
Central.
I did something with that cast of characters with Bill.
Maybe-
and I played guitar. And
Maybe
sang
you
or
played
something.
guitar
Mm-hmm.
on that one. I was trying. Bill was playing bass. I remember that. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
remember. And I remember you were playing guitar, but I couldn't.
I remember singing Uncle Pen. Was that on the set
Yeah.
list? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that was my very first show and like live music experience of playing out ever. And I just remember me being like so short that I was like looking up at you guys and I was just like, wow, these are the real, like these are the guys. These are the pros. The Mount Rushmore of Louisville bluegrass right here.
But we were all nice to you.
Yes, extremely.
We were all nice to you.
Extremely. And
For the
actually,
For
the
the
community,
For the record.
for the record.
It's interesting just to talk to people in the general public because a whole lot of people are afraid to play with you guys because you're very statuesque, but a whole lot of times people think that if you go play with other people, they're going to be mean to you or they're expecting. But all of us, if we call you to come play something with us, we're going to try and make sure you have a good time at the job. We're going to put you in a safe spot. We're not going to throw you
Yes,
out.
sir.
there
We're
where
not
you're
here to
gonna
help
get
each
hurt.
other. What are we here
What
for?
are we here for? Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And Jeff is kind of the king of just being very humble because he is a badass.
Oh,
in
yeah.
everything he does.
Yes.
And he will be as humble in his personality as he is with his playing.
Hand up
And
to him.
years ago, we had him come play with our previous band, and I leaned over to him. I said, "What are you holding back for?" I said, "You need to just rip one here."
Dig in there.
And
yeah.
it sort of encouraged him to let loose, and I was like, "Okay, I regret that."
Yeah, it made us all look bad.
So,
Fiddling then.
Yeah.
I appreciate your sympathy and your kind words there, but I feel like that I'm in the best company I could be in, with these guys. And like I say, I've known these guys. Really, I should have known them for their whole lives, but I've only known them for probably about 22 years. I'm going to say something like that, close to it. And Steve, I've known since we were both 18
Teenagers,
years
yeah,
old,
yeah.
Before the war between the states.
and all that. But I never got to play in a
Yeah,
band
we've
with
never
Steve until
just-
now.
No kidding.
Right? This
Just
is the
one-
first time they've ever been in a band together.
Onesie
Isn't that
twosie
wild?
things, yeah.
How
We-
in
we
the
haven't-
world?
So
They're
our
the
sons
same-
have brought us together musically as well.
It's a regular family reunion.
I've been
really
meaning to talk to you guys about child support, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
'Cause-
Have your attorney talk
Yeah.
about it.
So you guys have been running in the same circles forever and one-offs in this, but never been in a situation.
Yeah. No, we've played a few things, where we might have ended up having to rehearse or we were both on the same gig, but this is the first sort of project that we've done that is actually a project.
Yeah. So what is that like for you guys? I mean, because there's from our perspective totally, and I think for most people that are musicians that listen, there's not anything that you guys can't do. So when you have somebody that you can bounce those ideas off of and bounce, before one of these tunes, hey, you take the A part, you take the B part, and then you take all of this, and it becomes real simple, but you're doing that dance. How's that played out maybe how you thought it
Oh.
would, and maybe a little bit how
I love to
differently.
listen to Jeff play anything. And it just, I learn something every time we play a show.
Yeah, I like getting those banjo lessons too. I get some guitar lessons too, but he's playing banjo, But I mean, this guy, if he plays mandolin, dobro, and all this stuff too,
Well, I think those Galoots records, didn't you play all the lead parts on those Galoots records back in the day?
I played
Guitar?
some of them. Shannon played some of them. That's been a long time ago. I know he played several, and there were some that I did.
Yes, I
I
mean,
know there's a couple of things on there I ended up playing mandolin on, and it's all just sort of.
it's a lot at this point, huh?
Oh no, you just sort of try and make it all sound good. It's all.
And this hurt.
Man, I've fired myself off of all kinds of stuff. If you're recording things, or somebody else is better suited to do the job, yeah, man, I'll fire myself for the sake of the song every day,
Yeah.
24 hours a day. I don't have to play on it, but that's
That's never going to happen. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
if I touch it, it's going to be amazing.
I've
You're
fired
gonna want it
myself
on
off
that
all
song.
kinds of stuff.
No,
Happy to do it.
I think you would have to be the only person that could fire yourself. I'm not sure anybody.
I've
nobody
been
else
fired
would go.
by
Yeah.
plenty of other people.
There's like a whole set of encyclopedias that could be written just on the electric guitar stuff that he's done with Johnny Berry, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
just in my
geez.
lifetime. There's probably all kinds of stuff before I was listening to.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I went and saw. I watched you guys at. I don't remember where it was, but you and Johnny Berry. It was the Sunday. Were y'all doing a Sunday thing at High Horse?
Down at High Horse, I think.
I think I think we came out to High Horse in the last. I don't know. It was probably 6 months, maybe 8 months ago. I think Blind Feline played before you guys, and I watched. It was just, learning lessons, dude. I mean, it's ridiculous, and you guys are all multi-instrumentalists in a ridiculous fashion. Adam, do you play a million things as well?
I play a couple instruments. I play bass and upright bass and guitar.
And I bet you play guitar ridiculously too. I mean, it's just
It's real ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's mostly songs for my daughter in the living room. She dances and sings along with me. So.
Heck yeah. All right, so Aaron, when it's a no-brainer when it comes to forming the band. You got your brother, you got the that connection and those harmonies locked down. Then you get the Bibelhauser Brother All Stars together. How does it come working out tunes? Is there any time where maybe you have something that you bring in and you're like, I've got this thing, it's done, it's an idea, and then something else happens and it changes? Is it because you're in the same vein where you play everything at an expert level, from dobro to piano to guitar to banjo to name it, blah. You produce, so having that expertise and building these songs and kind of knowing what you want, do you just get it and go, all right, you guys do your thing, or is it something that's a workout process, figure out step by step?
Well, there's some of both in there, because some of these songs I've recorded on solo projects, and there's already sort of a built-in arrangement, but that inevitably gets changed when you work together with a group like this. A lot of times Adam and I will get together and have sort of an arrangement done, just really so that we're not wasting their time. These guys. It's like, so we'll have a little get together. We'll figure out, make sure we have our, have all our ducks in a row, and then they come over, and it really doesn't matter what they do, right or wrong. They're pretty good at staying out of each other's way, and there's really nothing they can do to screw up what we're singing, So, but we're lucky to have them around. So to answer your question, we usually have an idea of the arrangement before everybody gets in the room, but some of that changes. We've got and the dynamics, I think, are what really are really special. Like, because as much as banjo and mandolin and these two big loud voices, we're able to really focus on making room for each other sonically. Once we all get in the room together,
Yeah. So when you all work out harmonies and melody lines and stuff like that, or lyrics, do you already have lyrics brought together, or do you all writing it? How does that go?
Well, I wrote all these songs that we recorded here today. Let's see. I wrote all these by myself except for the first one we did, I'll Be On My Way. I wrote that with Michael Cleveland. But yeah, the lyrics in the song are usually done before we get in the room. I haven't really tried to bring in a partially written song. I've never really asked if you were open to doing it, but
it'd be interesting
now that we're here.
When
I've got this little riff worked out.
When have we ever resisted you?
No, these guys are such amazing players. I'm glad we're talking so much about them, because a lot of times we get together, it's the Bibelhauser Brothers, and everybody wants to know what happened when we were growing up and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, here today, I'm just so grateful to have the support of all three of these guys here to be able to come out, and I can try to make up a song, and it really isn't brought to life until we all
that Sleep 1,000 Years actually is one that we did today. And that's one that did sort of come to life with the four of us all in one place. Because Aaron he'd already created the song, but it grew legs when the four of us played it together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I still have that feeling when we play it, that we played it probably 100 times, and I still have that feeling like, man, this is a really powerful song. I love it.
Did it feel just huge when you played it, from the idea to what it became? Just a bigger, but it just
for me. I mean, I dreamt it up one day on my iPhone, and all I had was just a vocal guitar thing. So to be able to see it come to fruition and work together on an arrangement, first just live in a room just like this, hanging out, and then in the studio recording too, was pretty dang special. It was pretty cool,
man. Yeah, it was all pretty damn special on this side for sure. Yeah.
But these two guys, right?
Yeah.
When they're singing, it's hard to tell who's doing what.
Yeah, you got to watch.
Because their voices are so alike. I was telling my insurance agent today, I was getting my Medicare Part G taken care of.
I thought you were putting your two sons on the insurance.
I'm sorry?
What's going on? I thought you were putting your kids on the insurance.
We should have been dependents.
No,
he's been trying to get us to put him as a dependent
anymore. But
Sure.
I was trying to describe how they sound. I was telling her about the band, and I said, it's like they're identical twins, so their voices are really so much alike that it's hard to tell who's doing what if you're not watching them. Except stylistically, there's a little bit of difference, But man, and then so the harmony is just like almost like one person singing both
For sure.
parts.
It's real easy to sing with them because what they're doing is so easy. You can jump right into, figure out wherever the hole is you need to be.
Yeah.
But they make me sound better every time.
Yeah, I mean, when their part is locked in, it's pretty easier to find your part. It totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think what we do, I think we definitely filled most of the holes on the backstory on the first one. I didn't even want to go there with it.
Well, that's great.
So tell us, like, you all have been playing like crazy. You all have been playing shows, doing things. Tell us about kind of the takeoff of, since this thing has started, you guys have just, it's been insane to watch from this side.
It's been a good growth year for us. I think this is our first full calendar year as a band. We really kind of formed.
Doesn't even make sense in my head.
Yeah, I know it's crazy because I've known these guys for 20 years and Adam for 40 years, but it's like, I think we started the band around, we played one gig like February, a year ago, but that was kind of a one-off thing. We weren't really forming a band. We just had a record that Adam and I were putting out, and we needed to put something together for a show. And these guys have both been such a big part of our music for so long that it was obvious that we needed them to be there. But around May, not this May, but the year before, we played our first show together. And then the end of that month, we played a Waterfront Wednesday show for WFPK. And we made a live record out of that show.
Yeah, man.
And it was really our first show after we'd become a band, really.
That record is so tight, too. It's so good.
Man.
I did not know that was your first.
That was our first real band record as the four of us, because the first gig we had Michael Cleveland on the fiddle, which is fun, but it's kind of a cheap shot, man. Michael Cleveland on the ringer, distracting from all my vocal pitch problems or whatever. And but when we showed up there at Waterfront Wednesday and we made a live record out of that, that's when I gained a lot of confidence in myself, because really, and it's really confidence in the unit of the four of us together, because I've never really been super excited to hear myself on a live recording, even something like this. I'm like, I've always got some problem with what I was doing. And a lot of it stems from being a banjo player for so many years in a band, trying to hold that down and sing at the same time, and having, hero status guys on either side of me holding down that portion of it. And if Adam is playing bass, you ain't never got to worry about what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, so it's, and I learned that, Jeff told me that a long time ago. He said, you never got to worry about what's happening. And
playing with these guys too, though, it's contrasting it with other things that we've done over the years. They're highly trained professionals and also just have some real just talent at their core that it makes the possibilities for us kind of endless. You know, it's like, man, we couldn't really screw anything up if we just sort of have these guys on each end. Like it enables a lot of options.
We also have a really good time spending time together. Like we've and you talked about asked what we've been up to. We played some in the Carolinas a few weeks ago, and we played a little run up in Wisconsin, and we played at a Sirius XM headquarters in New York this year, among a lot of like regional festival things like the Big Stomp and a lot of stuff going on around here, shows that we've put together. So it feels really good. And we played the Station Inn this year. That's awesome. Our first time as a band. These guys have played it. I've played it. Adam's first time ever playing there. And it's just nice to be able to go up down the road with people that you enjoy spending time with too. Because
for sure,
everybody's got something funny to say.
I haven't noticed.
Really, rarely ever any animosity toward each other. What did you say? Nary a crossword was said. Not even about what music to listen to.
Oh man, we had a blast doing that too. I was sort of driving and doing the music shuffle as I was driving on the way to Wisconsin and on the way back. And Steve says, "Hey, why don't you play some Red Steagle?" And I'm like, okay, I don't know who that is. So I start playing it. I'm like, after about 4 or 5 songs, I'm like, Steve, why don't you plug your phone in? I'm digging this.
Yes. History lessons, man.
So then after he had it on his phone, then I'm going to mine and I'm adding stuff to my library. I'm like, okay, I'm adding that.
Yeah, lesson through music.
Yeah.
So I'm a little curious just about whenever you guys, because you all have such a good time together, you all have known each other for so long. Whenever you all are constructing a show and kind of like, okay, well, we are playing the Station Inn, like, and you all are trying to get like a set list together. Since between the four of you all probably know 20,000 songs. How do you all construct that list? Is it based off of audience? Is it based off of just if you all want to have a good time? Or is it like a mix of the both? Like, how do you all get that together?
There's occasional, if we're playing like multiple sets, we'll sometimes just wing a second set and just have a lot of fun. And if it's a private event or something, even just a dive bar kind of thing, we'll have a lot of fun and cut loose.
Okay.
But if it's something real intentional, I've usually kind of got that figured out before we get there, just because really I don't want to look, I mean, I'm up here with 3 really professional human beings and I don't want to be up there, what should we do next, guys? I don't know, we're in B flat, So also, being the songwriter in the band, I'm like, I want to make sure we hit those marks and make sure we have enough opportunity for Adam to shine as a singer. And, the rest of it just falls into place based on, these 2 guys are going to flower up anything that we're going to do in a beautiful way. So.
I mean, like fried chicken.
Sometimes you got. Sometimes you just got to stop and smell the flour.
Just the flour.
So this is kind of be sectional, I guess. for Steve and Jeff, and then for you guys as well, because Lexington, all this area was big time for bluegrass music in its heyday, with Tony Rice and J.D. Crowe and the guys that came through and the Holiday Inn shows and things like that. And it seemed as all music, kind of ebbs and flows. There was a big kind of went away out of the mainstream for a little bit. And I don't know if it was mainstream just because it was close to home and here and big here or not. But, now you've got a real rise of bluegrass music again with Billy Strings and the Molly Tuttles of the world and some real killer players, Trey Hensley's, people I can just... So have you seen that affect the way that the younger audience engage into what you are doing? Has it changed any way in the last, say, 5 or 6 years from what it was to what it is? Because I kind of think back at the Galoots days, and it was those were hopping. I mean, like you said, it was a party, it was a good time, but that was so. I
think in the last 5 or 6 years, there's really so much gravity around what Billy Strings is doing. He's sort of like the Jupiter of our bluegrass solar system right now.
Yeah,
that none of the
gassy giant,
none of the asteroids are going to make it through to Earth with Billy out there. He's really, he is the sort of the star of his generation.
He's touched a nerve with a whole lot of people, and there's a whole lot of people aware.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
fact.
There's
more people listening to
the rising tide raises
music,
all ships.
Yeah,
and it's the one thing that I would say about Billy Strings or Molly Tuttle, for some reason, and I don't know why, I do get a whole lot of people that want to talk to me about them, but they perceive me as not liking them or not thinking, and it's like I'm all for Billy Strings. He played over at the Hideaway with Don Julin back before he blew up, and him and Don were riding around trying to be some little, he was right here in town, and I'm sure on Tuesday or Wednesday night that they played the same 25 twirly dancers and girls not wearing shoes.
They probably made $80.
Yeah. And the same thing with Pokey Lafarge, another sort of guy that's made a splash, not as big as Billy, but he was here in town for a little while, being an old-time fiddle player, and then he decided he was going to be whatever he is now, but he played down at the Monkey Wrench for Denny a number of times, and nobody would go see him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they all like him now, so you just got to leave town, I guess. I don't know. Bluegrass, it comes up and it goes down. On a local regional thing for me, it never has seemed like it affected how much work I was doing or the quality of my work. I just sort of try and find things to go do.
Yeah.
But I think it's really great that people dig it. And I've lived a long time, and when I started playing was right before the Deliverance dueling banjos thing, and it blew up kind of around that time. That's sort of when Tony Rice ended up being over here. There are all kinds of folks moved to town here to play with this band called the Bluegrass Alliance. That's how Tony got here. Jack Lawrence, that played with Doc Watson for years and years, he moved up here to play. There was a whole ton of people that showed up here, but because the guy that had that band always had club dates going, and if you were somebody that was going to be a picker, and it was somewhere in the 19th, that's how Vince Gill ended up in town here.
Newgrass Revival spun off out of that band too.
Yeah.
We should say real quickly, you talked about the bluegrass history in this town. These two guys are part of it.
Oh,
They're
yeah, 100%.
not just this town, but around the globe. Steve spent 20 years working with the Dillards, playing music in a bunch of different countries on at least 3 continents. And Jeff played with Vince Gill and Steve
I don't
Warner.
know these people. I mean, come on, man.
And now they're slumming it in the basement over here with us.
That's true. That's exactly what they're doing. But yeah, you're right. I guess it's easy for like us to understand that, but I don't know if a lot of people understand that. I don't know if
it's the scene's bigger now. It's different. When I was a kid and I got involved with it, a whole lot of those people that you were talking about, they were still playing places. I mean, when I started playing the banjo, I used to sneak out of my folks' house and I would ride my bicycle from Hikes Point to the roadway inn down where all the pawn shops used to be down there around whatever it is, Jefferson Street. And my friend Danny Jones, that was a great singer that was in the original version of the Bluegrass Alliance, he sort of took a shine to me. A bunch of the older people did when I was a kid. And Danny had introduced me to J.D. Crowe. And I saw in the newspaper, because we didn't have the internet back then, nor the YouTube or anything like that. I saw in the newspaper that J.D. Crowe was going to be playing down at the Roadway Inn. And I rode my bicycle, my 10-speed bicycle, all the way from Hikes Point, through the Highlands, down Broadway, take a right to see J.D. Crowe. And it was J.D. and Tony and Larry and Bobby Sloan.
Gosh.
And I went up and talked to Crowe on break and watched the whole thing. And then we all went and had White Castles. And Tony Rice ate more White Castles. Larry Rice went home. And the other three, we all went to White Castle down there on First Street. And Tony ate something like 23 or 24.
Holy
because he had to beat Crowe's total that evening. But all those guys were accessible, and you know, if they thought you were into the music, they were nice to you.
They probably also saw this kid riding a
they didn't know
bike.
they didn't know that I was on my bike.
Oh, somebody knew, man. They were like, look at this
Well,
kid.
they did when we went to the White Castle. But yeah, but yeah, I was there. There used to be clubs around town where, you know, it was, and it's not like the whole club scene in general has changed. Used to be when we came up, if you were playing in a band, you worked all week. You might go into a club, you might play there all month. You might play 6 months. You might play 2 weeks, but you were there for a while. And all these great touring bluegrass bands, they would come and play around town here
for a while.
You know, they might be here for 2 weeks. Crowe played out at the Holiday Inn on Hurstburn Lane, where we used to play with the Cumberlands and stuff. And their people would come through town. It was easy to see them. But
I remember seeing at the Great Midwestern this band called Lazy River.
Yeah.
And it was Bill Millett on banjo.
Millett. Yeah.
And Vince Gill was playing, I think, the mandolin.
Yeah, I think he was mandolining on that version.
But Mark O'Connor was
came and
playing that white fiddle, and I was underage. I wasn't supposed to be in there.
Oh, yeah.
And he was younger than me.
Yeah, yeah.
By a couple of years, you know.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I finally got to be old enough that I was allowed to be in there, and I told them that I'd been going to the great, I'd been bumming rides from people to go to the Great Midwestern. See, you used to be able to get in a bar, you know. I started going to bars and playing music in bars when I was like 13 or something. You know, because some people,
he looked like he was 35.
Yeah, I've always looked like I was a million years old. So, you know, and after I finally got old enough that I could have been in the bars, and part of the people figured it out, they were pissed off at me for a minute or two, but they all got over it because I'd been spending good money with them.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the bluegrass history, because I didn't want it to go without mention that these guys are as big a part of it as anybody that you can think of in bluegrass music. And this guy would play fiddle contests with everybody that he already mentioned, Mark O'Connor, but he played with Sam Bush and whoever else, and they were all just kids, man.
Well, I don't know, it was 1982. Yeah, I was in my early 20s, but Sam Bush, I was lucky enough that he played rhythm guitar for me in the Masters Fiddle Contest.
That's insane.
And because his dad always worked the contest, and he was the guy that you gave him your tune list for your round, you know, 3 tunes, and he wrote them down. And but Sam happened to be in town, and you know, he's a just a good guy, because he could have said, man, really, I'm off work and I don't really feel like playing beating guitar for you. But man, he went over those tunes with me, and I mean, like a deep pocket there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't get any deeper.
His rhythm playing, yeah.
It's crazy. But
And he's going to be on this new record that we're working on too.
No
Heck
kidding.
yeah.
He's singing a song, and he's singing a song that he used to sing with the Bluegrass Alliance, actually. So to connect all the dots back to Louisville, and well, that song was first recorded by a bluegrass band in 1970, right? Is that right? With Danny Jones singing it, and very quickly Danny Jones quit that band, and Sam Bush became the singer in that band. He was playing guitar though, wasn't he? Playing guitar,
Because
maybe.
Dan Curry had
Dan
quit.
Curry had quit. Anyway,
Jones was still playing, and they made him still play the mandolin because Danny couldn't play guitar solos, and then that all changed, and there wasn't a mandolin player, and it was Courtney, and Courtney moved in.
Somewhere there's a video of Sam Bush singing this song and playing mandolin, and Tony Rice was playing the guitar with him. Lonnie Pierce on the fiddle,
on
and
the banjo on that video.
Courtney on banjo, and Ebo Walker playing bass. But it's really cool. And when we went down to track that song with Sam, he sort of got emotional because he was tore up thinking about that. At that time, the recording of the video of them playing there's a video of them playing and singing that together, but there's no recording studio wise of Sam singing that song. And the song is called 110 Soldier, by the way. But when at the time, that was about 1971 at Camp Springs in North Carolina, and that was the last song of the last set that Tony and Sam ever played together when they were in a band together. They worked together many times since then.
But being in the band.
And so while we were in the studio, Sam he's kind of tearing up singing this song, and it's a really beautiful moment to
that's awesome.
be like, man, we're really not necessarily like reliving anything, because I'm by proxy, I grew up much later than that, but it's really, I'm grateful to be a part of all that in a weird way, after the fact. But
yeah, I mean, him in that moment in memory. I mean, that's another one-time event that he gets to relive that as well. So that's pretty awesome.
So we're balancing between playing new songs and covering other things that are really important. Another song that we recorded, actually, John Cowan sang with us on a song called "This Heart of Mine," and it'll be out at some point with the whole record. But it's a Jim Smoke song, and another guy that was in the Cumberlands, and he was in Bill Monroe's band. He played with Bill Monroe as a bluegrass boy in the 1950s, right?
Yeah.
He's still alive and kicking.
Played with
playing banjo.
the other Martha White band that the Martha White Mills sponsored, Hilo Brown and the Timberliners.
Well, it's cool to like connect all those dots, and still we're contributing new songs that we've made up and capturing these moments of bringing artists that are our heroes into the fold, like Dale Ann Bradley, and Michael Cleveland's one of the guys on the record too. But it's kind of cool to connect all those dots between the past and the future. Hopefully,
Del McCoury too with that opening song there. I'll be on the way. He recorded that one. So, Aaron wrote it, and we gave him a copy at a show that we opened up for him with another band that we had, and we gave him a copy of a CD. And before we knew it, Aaron got a phone call. Hey, we think we're going to record that. I think we already recorded it.
They had already
was the
recorded
story.
it,
It was like, we already recorded it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was really cool. Yeah, there was an interview of him somewhere. Yeah, we worked a job with these boys. I believe it was up around Cincinnati. It was Louisville, but
Is that right?
But yeah.
So do you have any type of tentative release for the record?
We don't.
Is it all recorded?
I mentioned already that we're a pretty new band. This is our first full year as a band. However, in 2023, the Bibelhauser Brothers put out 2 full records. So we're not really in a big hurry. We're not going to get something out until 25 at some point. But we're kind of stringing singles along. It seems to be the right thing to do to keep people interested. You guys are in the business of keeping people interested in stuff with a short attention span. So 100%. We're dropping one song at a time until we have maybe 6 or so of them out, and then we'll put 10 or 11
Earl
songs.
and I were talking about that today because he was going through the same issue. He's like, do I really want to release another record or should I just slow roll these releases? I don't want to do it in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hardly do anything in the winter. It's
Yes, that's what I was going to just wait. And I'll say, too, because I haven't talked much today, it's just so cool to have you all in here legit. Like, when I've done this for like a year now and I've seen like 50 different acts come through here, and without a doubt, this was the coolest shit that I've ever heard in here. Like, it really was.
They must have all really sucked.
No, that's the thing, man. Everyone that comes through here is good. And
I'm sorry you had that experience. I know they didn't because I saw a video of Nick Dittmeyer and his band, and that's a hot little band, man, a great band.
Of course, they're all
unbelievable.
It really is just great to have you all in here. When I got into music and I wanted to be like an artist, only reason I did that was to meet cool people and do cool things. And like straight up, seeing you all in this room like this was one of the coolest things that I've experienced. I've seen you all at Waterfront. I've seen you all do Tyler Lance's show. I've seen you at Paris Town. This was very cool to hear you in this room like this. I feel like one mic is I've set up is like I feel like what bluegrass is supposed to be, and it was perfect, man. Like everything about this was why I got into music in general. I never imagined seeing you all, and I know you a little bit from around town at the Monarch and stuff. It's just cool to be at all part of this. So thank you for coming and doing this. I know
we appreciate
Neil
you.
said you were a big time when you came on the first time. That was a big deal. It's a big deal for me today to see you all on here. So thank you all big time for coming on. It really, really mean it.
Yeah, man. No doubt.
Pikeville shirts added bonus.
I went to Pikeville for a
baseball
couple years
player,
before
man.
I dropped out, but I was there for a bit.
I believe the proper pronunciation is Pikeville.
We've been told.
We've been told it's Pikeville, actually. Yeah, recently, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, fellas. Well, I do want to, again, tell y'all how much we appreciate y'all coming out. What an honor it is to officially meet Jeff and Steve in this setting, especially Adam as well. I just meeting you. Aaron, it is an honor to know you, my man.
Same here, buddy.
But before I do want to kind of touch on, he just mentioned the Monarch, and we can't ever get out of here without talking about it. You got the new, last Wednesday of every month, Bluegrass Jam.
It's the third Wednesday of every month.
Wednesday.
We're doing the Bluegrass Evolution monthly jam session there, and it's been a real treat, man. There's been sometimes 30, 40, 50 players playing music, all in different areas, of course. But there'll be a big circle of beginners in one area, and then there'll be a hot little 7 people playing real fast, and I don't want to play that fast, but I will sometimes if I have to. And then there'll be another group of people that are maybe singer-songwriters, sort of bluegrass adjacent, maybe an old-time fiddle player and a banjo frailing. But it's been really fun. And talking about the Louisville community, I think that there's a real potential for that space and that community there.
If not for that kind of an environment when we were learning. I mean, we saw Steve at clubs around town, and we knew Jeff because he was teaching everybody that was good. He's the teacher.
Anybody that was any good was his student.
Everybody.
Spencer's been there.
We knew those guys, but where we really kind of fell in love with bluegrass music was being able to play with people. And we didn't have a band, and I didn't know how to play. I was just trying to learn how to play so I could sing with my brother. And those jams were the way to make that happen. So I think there's a real potential out of this jam. Yeah. The good old days of that are right now. They're not 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That is a cool jam, and I think people should come out to it on the third Wednesday.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Just a quick pitch to, I would say, the beginner that's been maybe picking in their basement, something to encourage them to just step out, to get out of their comfort zone. Is there anything you would say to them? Be like, get the hell out there or what? I mean, because, there would be a big intimidation factor. I believe last week, Michael Cleveland was there. You got, so like I said, there is that step through the door.
Yeah, these guys have more wisdom here.
Okay.
Like
especially like kids that I've had for students, but adults also, it's like, I'll ask them the question of, when you're by yourself at home in your place and you're singing and playing and nobody else is there, who's listening to you? And it's like, I put it like kind of in a spiritual context of like the higher power is listening, And so if you're not, all the God believers and everything, if you're not afraid to sing and play in front of your God, then why would you be afraid to sing and play in front of any people?
Because God can't play the mandolin like you, man.
He's way better, dude.
I'm sure.
It should be better.
I mean, she's way better. Sorry.
Yeah.
But at any rate, that's the thing. When you get to the point that you don't care what anybody thinks of how you sound, then you can go have a good time and you can learn all kinds of stuff,
Find some people to play with in bluegrass music. It's find some guys that want to do it, and that'll give you all the confidence and joy.
Yeah.
It's real easy. You just have to have a twin brother that likes hillbilly.
I remember hearing the Kruger brothers play one time, and I came up to the geek out at the record table, and there was a little kid visiting, Uwe Kruger, and he's a large man, and he has a large personality too. And he looked at this little kid. He said, "You play guitar." And these guys are from Switzerland, German speaking, and you play guitar, don't you? Let me see your hands. He grabs this kid's hands and he's looking at him. He goes, "It's never going to stop hurting. Keep doing it anyway." So that's my bit of advice. But Steve's probably got some more actual wisdom.
Just get out there and go play. I mean, everybody started out someplace. I can remember when Michael was this tall.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a tiny fiddle. And he talked like this.
Hey, Steve Cooley.
Hi, Steve Cooley. How you doing?
Yeah, you just got to get out there and play. It's jam sessions in general, whether it's bluegrass or people doing blues. There's always going to be some people that are not really friendly because that may be their only time to shine. Like, they get to play at their house and they're not really in a band and they're not playing out anywhere. And it's sort of a place for them to be the top dog at doing what they're doing. And a whole lot of times those people will be sort of pushy and mean to people that aren't necessarily at the same skill level. By and large, most people, if it's a great big jam session, everybody's going to try and be nice to people. It's the smaller numbered sessions where you've got 5 or 6 people that have decided that's their band, and you don't want to harsh.
This is a real phenomenon. It's
it. I mean, when I was a kid and I was learning how to play, and I went to some bluegrass festivals, and I tried to jump in the middle of a jam session, and it wasn't as all fuzzy and nice as much of the modern times is. And one fellow that we all know who's gone on, I tried to jump in the middle of their jam session, and I wasn't up to snuff. And one of them did call me out and told me I needed to get at the back of the line until I got better, because I wasn't. And he was right. I needed to listen more.
We've talked about this a few times, how some of that, like, tough love, and maybe it's not love at all, but it's whatever it is. Some of that toughness is good, because there is sort of there has been in the past waves of this like epidemic of somebody having a certain amount of raw talent and not working real hard on it, and having everybody under the sun tell them how great they are. And then they show up and it's just not, they're not really cutting.
Yeah,
it's like, man, sometimes you need somebody to tell you.
They can't really hang, and if nobody's sort of pointed it out to them and they can't hear the difference.
Yeah.
I've seen some people, and I used to be fairly brutal myself to people at various times at jam sessions, but yeah, that's been decades ago. I mean,
it's the old Steve Cooley.
Yeah.
It's the old Steve Cooley.
No.
So you'd like let them know if they were like mixing time signatures and stuff?
Yeah. If they were out of tune, it's like, it doesn't take any more effort to get your instrument in tune with the rest of us.
Tough love. Our 2 uncles.
Uncle Steve and Aunt Mommy.
But yeah, it can be pretty brutal, and people take their jam session a little too seriously sometimes.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, it is just a social hour. A jam is just
it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah,
right. And it should be. It should be. I mean, the last time I went to IBMA was the last year they had it in Nashville. And I decided I was walking around listening to jams, and there was this whole crew of people that had been sort of ejected, it's the land of misfit toys. And all
Nobody
these
wants
people,
a Charlie in the box.
yeah. And there was a couple of the people that I sort of knew. They'd seen me at a show or something, and I'd been talking to them because it's just as easy to be nice to folks as it is to be mean to them. And I went and got my banjo, and I had a big jam session with all those folks, and we had a great time. And we didn't try and play stuff that people didn't know, stuff that was too fast so that somebody could show off how fast they could play. And we just had a good, solid little bit of music that everybody had got a piece of.
Awesome.
That was where I met Sav at.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was being sort of jerky to him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you had the jam, which is the true spirit of bluegrass music.
If we're not here,
Well, what you witnessed in here with the one mic, that was very much like what our rehearsals sound like. We never plug in, set up all that
Adam.
jam. Well, Sometimes he plays the big doghouse bass, but
Well,
Yeah, it's not. It's a little bit more difficult to travel with, huh?
different tool. Yeah. This is a good little lean band, man. Having a 4-piece band, we can travel in a little pickup truck.
Yeah.
Nobody's got any peculiar dietary situations, offensive body odor.
Nothing like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, you fellas, you got to keep her. Don't mess it up. All right. Once again, you guys, really appreciate y'all coming on. Thanks for everything. Just really looking forward to seeing where you take it, what happens in the second calendar year.
Yeah.
See the explosion, and man, just keep checking y'all out. So
Appreciate you guys having us.
Thank you. Anybody that wants to follow or listen, where can they find you?
bluegrassevolution.com for most things related to the band. Bibelhauser is tough to spell. So bluegrassevolution.com. You can find us on the socials, on Instagram, Facebook, elsewhere. People follow the bands in town, or your Spotify calendar. That stuff's on there too. So
right on. Right.
What are you talking about?
Spencer, what about you, buddy?
just Spencer.Corbin on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff for any luthier needs. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Buddy. Earl.
Yeah, Earl Bowman everywhere. And fellas, thanks again. Like legit, I don't want to keep blowing smoke up your ass, but like highlight of my week. We do this usually once a week, and I work a day job too, so I work all day and I come do this. And sometimes I'm tired. It's always a pleasure to come in and see whatever is in here. It really always is. But tonight, I will never forget. This was like a legit, very, very cool performance. I just loved it, man. And like
Same
you
here.
all, musicianship wise, is just the top of the top that's been in here. And we really have had good acts come in here, and this blew me away. And I knew it would, and it really did. So thank you all for coming on and taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. All right, find us at Top Hill Recording on all the
Everything.
stuff.
It just takes a second. Hit the button. Subscribe.
Takes a second. All right, till next time. Guys, appreciate you. Thanks again.
we love
Thank you.
Thank you.